Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. I recently got the new MISTI for 2020 in the mail this week, and I wanted to just upload a video really quick to show you some of the differences between this one and the previously released original MISTI. I've had my MISTI for many years. I had it when it first came out. I remember when it was invented, and I was so excited because I had been having so many problems with solid stamps. So the stamps that have they're completely flat and you have to get ink all over the image. I would have so many problems trying to stamp my images. I just kept getting splotchy images and I couldn't figure out what to do. I tried a foam pad underneath, which worked a little bit, but I still couldn't get that really crisp impression. And I would also have problems with lining up my stamps, particularly sentiment stamps, and getting them even. So the MISTI, when it came out, was kind of a lifesaver to me. So this is my original one that I had. It's had a lot of love. I really threw it around a lot, but I'm going to keep it because I can do double duty with two projects going on at the same time. I can keep stamps in this one and then stamp with the new one. So definitely going to keep that around. But let me show you this little updated one. They just made a couple of tweaks. The main thing that I really liked was how they changed the front cover of the tool. Let me take this paper out here. They beveled the edges, which just ergonomically feels better when you're using it. And they also added a little lip to the edge too. So when you open it, it's very easy to open and close. The original one had everything equal or even to the side, and it was sometimes a little difficult to open and close, but not a big deal. But this definitely, the little change like this really makes a difference. So I really like this. This still has the grid lines on the front. The grid lines on this one are a light gray color, and they're more kind of inside the cover rather than this. The original one seemed like it was kind of a sticker or something. I couldn't really tell, but this one is more part of the cover, if that makes any sense. But it still comes with the foam pad, and for those of you who don't have a MISTI or have never used one, the foam pad you would take out if you're using red rubber stamps, because the red rubber stamps have the foam already on them, so they're thicker. So this gives you room to cover that area when you're stamping. But if you're using clear stamps, you would just put the foam pad in like this, and then you can stamp like that. It also came with a few pieces of grid paper, which is nice if you're doing lining up stripes and doing that kind of thing. This makes it very simple. Got my stamps all over the place here. So, and it also makes it nice too, because you don't get ink all over your MISTI. You've got a piece of paper here to cover it. So I think you can get wipeable mouse pad too, where you can just, instead of using paper, you can just clean it off like that. But for now, I'm using the paper. And let me show you really quick how it stamps. I'll just grab a piece of cardstock here. And this one comes with a bar magnet, which is nice too, because I had recently purchased some bar magnets from my old one because I really liked how strong they were, and they really held the paper down nice as you're stamping, and it keeps everything from moving. So this comes with one bar magnet. You can just fit it right in there, and you can just secure your paper like this. And then I'll show you how I use a solid stamp. So you just place your stamp wherever you want it. If you're going to have it in a certain spot, you put it there. Otherwise, if you're just going to cut it out or whatever, you can just put it anywhere. And then you shut the door. And then you've got your stamp on the side of the door there. A lot of times with solid stamps, if they're newer, I like to take a white eraser and just kind of erase the top of the stamp a little bit to give it some texture. This will help it grab the ink some more. This stamp has been used quite a bit, so you really only need to do that once, and it pretty much works for the rest of the time. So let me just grab some ink on here. And it's nice because if you don't get a perfect image the first time, everything is set up in the same spot. So you just have to add more ink and then just stamp it. And the second time it goes in the exact same spot. That's something you couldn't get when you're just using a regular block, like acrylic block. And it's nice too, because if you want different shades of the same color ink, you can stamp lighter, you can stamp heavier. This is a kind of a medium pink color, but I've stamped it a couple times and it gets darker and darker every time. So that's nice too. You can kind of play around with that with your ink colors. So let me go ahead and show you just how I use a sentiment. So again, you just put your cardstock in here. And if I want to line up a stamp, you can use they have a download on this My Sweet Petunia website, which I'll put a link to, that you can download grid lines and go have them printed onto transparency and just cut them out. And it's the size of a 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 card. You can have it cut down to that. And you can just line it up on your card like this, and then put your sentiment where you want it on the card and make sure it's perfectly straight. So for example, like if I want this in the middle here, you can count grid lines, or I'm sorry, you can count little squares and make sure you have an equal amount on each side like that. And you just line it up perfectly like that, and then shut the door. And then you've got everything where you need it. And then you just put if you're using the paper in the corner, you don't need to use the magnet. I always like to add an extra layer of protection by using the magnet. So, and then you can put any kind of ink you want on your sentiment. And then you stamp it, and it gets stamped perfectly straight into the spot that you want it on your cardstock. Another thing I wanted to add is when you have the transparencies printed out, it's always a good idea to put some sort of marking on one side. So for example, I put the letter E here so that I'm always using the same side of the transparency for stamping. So in case you get ink on the top of where the stamp is going, you're not going to get ink on your card. So when you line up the sentiment, if your stamp has a little bit of ink on it and you're stamping with it, you might have some ink on here, and then the next time you go to stamp, you don't want to put it down like this, and then you lift it up and you're like, oh no, I have ink on my card. So just a little trick that I do to kind of make sure everything stays clean. I just do that. But this is a nice little tool to have too. So thanks so much for joining me today. And if you have any questions, just leave me a comment below, and I'll see you in my next video.